Thank you for all participating in our democracy. My name is Kelly McGilligot. I'm the Adult Services Manager here at Curtis Memorial Library, and I will be your facilitator this evening. This event was made possible by both the candidates you see tonight and our amazing organizing team. We are honored to welcome citizen volunteers from our community, Ellen, Carolyn, Lynn, Donna, and Wendy, who are essential in putting together this event. Thank you all for your public service. This is our 4th annual voter forum planned by the Curtis Memorial Library. The Curtis Memorial Library is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization. This means that the library never supports or opposes any political party or candidate. Instead, the public library works to share information on elections, voting, and voting information. And we are glad to do it, and we're glad to do it here tonight with you. Specifically, after the questions end, I encourage you all to visit the information table and chat with our candidates. Our candidates have been invited to provide their contact information and flyers. Fran Smith, Brunswick's town clerk, who is unable to be here tonight, she wanted me to share this information to our residents. Absentee ballots are available now at Town Hall until Thursday, October 30th. But they can be returned up to Election Day, November 4th at 8 p.m. at Town Hall. Voter registration will be at Town Hall and at the polls on Election Day. Voting on Election Day will be at the Brunswick Rec Center at 220 Neptune Drive. Polls open at 7 and close at 8 p.m. To help inform your decisions, we have provided our candidates with 6 predetermined questions which they will be answering tonight. After they do this around 6 p.m., we will all have an opportunity to get out of our seats and mingle, so you'll be able to chat with your future representatives. We are recording this event for television, and it will be posted on the Town of Brunswick website and on their YouTube channel. Before we begin, I want to share some ground rules. Number 1, we will all listen and speak respectfully and civilly with silenced phones. Please hold your applause and questions. Number 3, candidates may take less but no more than their allotted time. Timekeepers will hold up yellow cards when 30 seconds remain, and they will hold up a red card when time is up. You must stop speaking at or before that time. 1 person speaks at a time, no crosstalk, please. So tonight we are going to welcome candidate Elizabeth Kettner for School Board District 1, candidate S. Elizabeth Bisson for School Board District 2, and candidate Elizabeth Sokoloff for School Board District 6. Now, the 6 questions asked tonight were based off community input and research by our volunteer forum committee. We purposely kept them open-ended so that each candidate could choose to discuss their priorities. We also left out many potential topics in order to keep the evening brief and accessible. If you wish to see changes in this format for next year, we welcome your feedback and would be absolutely delighted to have more members join our volunteer organizational team. So please contact me or Hazel after the event. Okay, now let's begin. The candidates were each asked to address the following queries in their introductions. How do you view the role as a school board member, and what do you see as the requirement of this job? Why do you want to run, and what values and qualifications will you bring to this position? Candidates will have 2 minutes. We rolled a die to find out who will begin, and we're going to start with candidate Bisson, and then we'll proceed clockwise. So candidate Bisson, do you want to start?
Thank you for that introduction, and thanks so much to all of you at Curtis for hosting us and for coming out tonight. My name is Beth Bisson. I go by Beth, and I represent District 2. I started on the board in 2000, so I'm currently serving on the board, and I'm currently serving as chair of the board, and so this will be my 3rd term that I'm running for now. I take a lot of pride in, and I'm really honored by the opportunity to serve on the board. It's really important to me. I feel like it's almost a second job and I really dedicate a lot of time to it because I just really deeply value public education and what it provides for our youth in our community, and also the dedication. I really want to honor the dedication of our and expertise of all of our staff and administrators. I come from a family of a lot of public educators, and I grew up in public education, and it's just really important to me that we continue that really proud tradition. And I love the community of Brunswick, and I'm really honored to be in public service to the board. So I serve, in addition to serving on the board, we have standing committees. I serve on the Personnel and Finance Committee and also on the Facilities Committee. And I participate in negotiations for our labor contracts. And we also have standing ad hoc committees periodically, such as our Strategic Planning Committee, which I was on recently. So those are some of the qualifications that I bring to the role. I think the beauty of public service is that anyone is qualified as long as you're committed to doing the job and to learning what it takes to do the job. And so that's part of the reason why I think it's so important for those of us who can to get involved.
Hi, thank you. And I'm so happy to be here. My name's Elizabeth Kettner, and I am running to represent District 1. I'm very new to this. Like, I literally met new friends and neighbors just in the process of collecting signatures. But I'm really happy that someone reached out to me and asked me to consider this. It's very much outside of my comfort zone. I'm an introvert at heart, but I too love the Brunswick school system. I have 2 kids in the schools, and they've really thrived there. And I really just believe so deeply in the power of education to make, transform individual lives, but also really build strong communities. I think we all do better when we all do better. And so I'm just really excited to learn this position. I have to say, I don't really know what I'm doing yet. It's very much a learning curve. So I see my role as really listening and getting to know the position, and also just playing a part in representing my district and listening to the voices of the people in my community to make good decisions that serve all of us. So that's my hope, and I guess those are my values, and I'm just really excited to get started. So, yeah.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Sokoloff, and thanks to all of you at Curtis for this invite and this opportunity. I have been a resident of Brunswick for 25 years. My husband and son live here, and my husband is a social worker, and my son is a junior at Brunswick High School. I have been on the board since 2017 and have served as vice chair for the last 2 years alongside Beth. So we've been working in leadership together. This is our 2nd year. Just a little education, just so that you know. There are 3 pretty well-defined roles of a school board. The first is that we set policy for the district. And the second is that we approve the annual school budget. And the third is that we hire and we evaluate the superintendent. Beyond that, it is also obviously our job to understand the educational priorities of our community and make sure that our district is heading in that direction. I am running for a 4th term on the board because I absolutely love serving. We have a very high-functioning board that works very well together. We also developed a strategic plan in 2023. I was part of that planning committee with Beth, and we worked for months to make a 5-year plan which set our vision, our goals, and our objectives to carry out the next 5 years. And it's important to me to see those through. And so in terms of values, I am a longtime public school teacher. So I bring an educator's perspective to the board, and I also am very involved in the Emergency Action Network and Brunswick Cares, which are 2 local nonprofits. They help inform my work as a board member because I'm very passionate about supporting the most vulnerable families that live in Brunswick.
Thank you all. We are now going to move on to the question portion of the event. Each of the 3 candidates will be asked 6 questions, and they'll be given 1 minute to respond. We have We're going to rotate each question who starts, and our first speaker was chosen randomly, and we will begin with candidate Sokolov. And then we'll go on. Audience members, if you'd like a reminder of the questions, they're printed out and they're in the back of the room if you want to have those. So, candidate Sokolov, if elected, what are your top priorities for your term on the school board?
I have so many, but I did narrow them down to 4. Probably my biggest priority is to lower the systemic barriers that are getting in the way of students who are unable to access their education. So I've been working hard on that. Also, advocating for a responsible budget, and at the same time, a budget that fully meets the needs of our students, which are often complex. Third priority is to see through the strategic plan that we discussed, or that I talked about earlier. 3 areas of focus are student and family engagement, retaining and recruiting new staff, as well as teaching and learning. A final priority is that we all know that early intervention leads to our highest and best academic outcomes. So I'm very committed to continuing to work to expand our pre-K program, working towards a universal model that meets the needs of all the young learners in our community.
Okay, my turn. Okay. Yeah, so again, I'm new. I don't know that I really have really clear-cut priorities. I would echo a lot of what Elizabeth said. I really care passionately about being really responsible with the way that we craft our budget and the way that we allocate our resources. I do care a lot about school safety. It's something that's on my mind. I think it's on all of our minds these days. So that is something that I definitely want to prioritize. And then other than that, I really just want to bring a spirit of openness and learning so that I can be the best board member I can be. I do have a background in education that I think I didn't mention in my introduction. I'm a little bit nervous, but so I do also care passionately about education, so I hope that that will inform my decision making too. So yeah.
Thanks. I would say, I would echo the comment that, there's so many priorities, there's so many things to work on. Our strategic plan does lay out a pathway for us in those 3 areas that Elizabeth mentioned. And within those, I would say that my priorities right now are continuing the good work that we've done and really focused on in the last couple of years, deepening and strengthening our relationships with the town council in the town of Brunswick, thinking together about what our budget process looks like and how we can work together collaboratively as much as possible, both to make sure that what we're doing meets the needs of all of our students and families and recognizes some of the fiscal challenges in the community. I'd also say that we have some long-term planning that I'd like to focus on around our shared facilities. We're looking to open a new process with the council, kicking off at a joint workshop in November. And I will leave it at that.
Thank you all. Next, we will begin with candidate Kettner. In your view, who are your stakeholders and how do you communicate with them?
So I guess I'm not really sure if I understand the question, to be honest, but I guess the stakeholders would just be members of the community, especially our students and families, as well as our staff and faculty members of the school. In terms of communication, I think we have a lot of different options here. I definitely plan to have electronic communication open, and I want to listen. I want to hear from my constituents and listen to what they have to say, but also just showing up in our community and attending things and talking to people, which again is a little bit outside of my comfort zone. So I'm challenging myself in this new role, but yeah, I think that would maybe be it. I don't know, which order are we going in? Okay, sure.
Okay. So as a school board, we have many stakeholders, but ultimately we work on behalf of the students and staff of the Brunswick schools. This is where our allegiance has to lie, and in that way we're a little different than a town councilor. We are elected, but we're elected to govern, and so we don't really represent as much. That said, we always want to hear from the people, not just in our district, but town-wide, because any way that we can find out about any issues that are going on or areas that we could develop or improve, we're open to. Again, email is always the best. I'm in constant communication with my fellow board members through our subcommittee meetings and our full board meetings. Our central office administrators, Beth and I meet weekly with our superintendent and assistant superintendent. And like Beth mentioned, we're also meeting regularly with the town leadership on budget issues. I am so good at this.
And I think I'll just add for my remarks that I consider stakeholders anybody who cares about what happens in our schools, from students to family members to certainly our staff and administrators, but also members of the community. One of my roles as board chairs for any of our board chairs is to respond to each and every email that we receive as a board. All of our board members receive emails, communications, face-to-face conversations in the grocery store. And so we're just living that engagement all of the time as we go through our day. And I really value that. I appreciate it. I love talking to my neighbors about what's going on in the schools. A lot of people in my neighborhood no longer have children in schools. There are a lot of retired teachers in my neighborhood. And so it's really nice to carry on that dialogue through my day because I learn things about what happened in the past and what people's values are through those conversations. And I really value the opportunity to serve on committees with our staff and administrators because I'm not in the classroom with them all the time as they are, and it's really important to me to know how they're feeling about decisions that we're making. And all of those things I'll just wrap up, but those are all things that happen outside of our meetings, but we love it when people come to our meetings and engage with us directly as a board also.
Thank you. Thank you all. Next, we'll begin with Candidate Bisson. What is appropriate guidance for AI and cell phone use in school?
I think this is a two big topics, actually. I think I would just try to separate those. We do have a cell phone policy, which is on our board website. That's different from how students use cell phones in the classroom. And the junior high and the high school just this year released a new set of procedures or guidelines for all the staff and families and students, which sort of limits their access to phones during the school day, but does not have a complete ban. And that was something that came up through a survey of staff, students, and parents in the community in response to concerns being raised. The results to the survey were quite mixed, and so they opted this approach instead of seeking a full ban from the board. And so I'm supportive of that. We'll see how it works. It just started. AI is a different beast. It's very new, as you say, and I'll wrap up simply to say that we do have a procedure for AI use, which is also new this year. And I'm going to pass. I know that some of our other speakers will speak to that.
Yeah. Okay, so I understand the policy for cell phone use, and from my perspective, I have a high schooler and an elementary school student at HBS, and it seems to be working well, so I'm supportive of that. I like limitations, but I think an outright ban might be challenging for some families, especially when communication needs to happen during the day. In terms of AI, this is an area where I do feel like I have a little bit of expertise. I teach college writing at Colby, and we're wrestling with this right now, this very question. It has really been a game changer. I noticed a seismic shift between fall semester last year and spring semester of how AI was being used. I think for me, the biggest thing I would want to see is that we really craft a policy that emphasizes a real critical use of AI, meaning that we're training students to use critical thinking skills, evaluative skills, and really question the output of AI because it's not necessarily always good and reliable.
She could just turn off the sound. We're trying to. Oh, okay. Okay. So when I think about cell phones and AI, I think of that we are in what's called in education a calculator moment. So what we have is technology, and we have to respond to it in a way that we can enhance our learning and not hinder it for our students. And in this, like Beth said, we are deferring to our experts, who are our administrators and our teachers, who know and understand how best to use these tools in their buildings and in their classrooms. Like Beth said, we had a very big survey that got answered with mixed results. And as a result, what we've done is let every building create their develop a age-appropriate building level protocol that both acknowledges the potential downfalls of cell phone use, and at the same time, it gives our classroom teachers the autonomy to teach kids how and when to properly use these tools, because ultimately, that's the goal. All-out bans, although they sound good, aren't realistic, and they don't prepare our students for decision-making in the future.
May I add one thing, because time was up, and I think it might be helpful for listeners to know what more specifically those policies, just in one sentence, do cover we have for each. I'm getting a thumbs up from Hazel. I'll just say the new cell phone rules are that students, when they come in, they may use their phones between classes, before school and after school, and I think at lunch. But when they're in class, they put their phones in a pocket, so they don't have access to them unless the teacher would like them to use it for something. Mm-hmm. And then for AI, I would say the crux of the new, I won't say it's a policy because it's not a board policy, but protocol or procedure, is to ensure that new tools for AI are vetted and reviewed, and also that ultimately any AI that is used is additive. It doesn't take away from the opportunity for our students to be educated. It supplements and enhances education rather than acting as a crutch or a replacement for education.
Thank you. Next, we will begin with candidate Sokoloff. School funding accounts for the majority of town budgets. Generally, how do you suggest Brunswick optimize our return on investment in its schools?
I think the best way to answer this question is to tell a story. So right now, we are in a healthcare crisis due to a shortage of frontline workers. And we also right now have students that are sitting in biology classes, let's say in chemistry classes at Brunswick High School, and they're getting excited. So maybe they sign up for the CNA program at the vocational school, and maybe they get more excited, and they then get their CNA certificate and they go to work at Midcoast Hospital. These are the people that are taking our blood pressure, doing our x-rays, drawing our blood. They are the future, they are our workforce, and those are the people that we are educating in Brunswick. It is not just other people's kids, it's people that are joining our workforce and creating and vital services, providing vital services for everyone in the town. And that to me is beyond a positive return on our investment.
Yeah, I would just echo what Elizabeth said. I think that education it benefits an individual. There's no denying that, but it benefits our whole community. When people are given opportunities, they usually give back too, and in so many ways. And so I really believe in public education, and I'm happy to serve, and I'm happy to be here. So, yeah.
I think I'll just add that I think of a community as a collection of families, and families are all different ages with all different needs depending on what services they need. And I'm really proud that Brunswick is a community where we take care of our community members, and the schools have needs, and our budget is built around the needs of our students. Some of those are non-negotiable. For example, special education services are legally required. And our labor contracts are more than 1 year. And so we take into account all of those dynamics as we're setting our budget each year. But we're sensitive to and aware of all of the other dynamics that are going on. And so that's why we try to attend council meetings. Council members come to our meetings. So we're really collaborative. Even though we are independent bodies setting our own budgets, we do so with awareness of the other dynamics in the community.
Thank you all. Now we'll begin with candidate Kettner. What is the role of the school board when national or regional priorities differ from those of the local municipality or community?
Okay, so to be honest, my response would be, I really don't know. But that said, I do think that, of course, we have to be responsive to laws that are enacted and follow that. So I think, it's the best we can do is just take care of our school system, make good decisions for our schools, prioritize the things that just obviously need to be prioritized, like our student safety and making sure that our kids are getting the education that they need, that our staff are supported, and that we're making the schools as safe and positive a learning experience as we can make them, leaning into the expertise of the people who are running the school system.
Thanks. So national and regional priorities, I don't really know what that means. If these priorities are reflected in existing laws, we are following those laws. Our policies and practices must always be in compliance with any existing laws, whether they be state or federal. If the laws change in some way that affects education, then our policies must also change accordingly. I've been the chair of the Policy and Planning Committee for numerous years, and this is what we do all the time. Our job is to understand those laws and to interpret them in the context of education and our practice, and then implement them through the policies and procedures that we create. We are not a body that changes laws, and we are not in a position where we are able to ignore laws.
Thank you. So I'll just briefly add that there are always changes happening. This is, a time of a lot of political discourse, but we always have political discourse. We always have changes in local laws, new things proposed. We're always actively considering what it means. So, for example, Maine's new parental leave program has an effect on our schools, as well as the coming requirement for schools to serve 3-year-olds with special needs that were formerly served by CDS. So those are all changes that affect our operations. We're constantly reviewing those and considering those. We also have the Maine State School Management Association and State School Board Association that review those and make recommendations. And tomorrow I'll be sitting as our delegate to the Maine School Board Association meeting where we're reviewing those resolutions. So that's another layer of school board governance.
Thank you all. This is our last question of the evening. We will begin with candidate Bisson. What are your views on red flag gun laws, such as ballot question number 2?
I think I'll just start by saying that firearm safety is something that I think about, unfortunately, every day. I have 3 children. I have a 6th grader, a 9th grader, and an 11th grader. And just having so many close relationships with teachers and staff and administrators in our building, I think about it every day, every time I hear a siren. And so safety is really important to us. We have a really detailed safety procedure manual that is updated annually, and it's the board's job to kind of oversee and make sure that that happens, led by our administrators. But specific legal changes in policy are outside the board's purview. And so while I can speak to that as an important issue to be paying attention to, it isn't part of the board's job to come down a certain side of an issue. We're free if we decide as a board. The board can't deliberate outside of our meetings, but there have been times in the past where the board wrote a letter to the state on something like our vaccination policy. We haven't done that on this issue. It's not outside the realm of possibility, but it's something the board would have to take up as a full body.
I guess I would just echo that and say that I've said it a few times in my answers that the safety of our schools and the safety of our kids is just such a paramount priority to me, and I know our whole school board, so I know that our decision making will always put that at the forefront.
We've talked about our strategic plan a couple of times, and in that plan we have what's called a vision statement, and in that vision statement our highest priority is identified, which is student and staff safety. And therefore, our district, like Beth said, has constructed a really robust emergency response plan that reflects the horrific reality that kids are subjected to gun violence while they attend school. It's a fact, it's happening, and we need to respond to it. The construction of this plan and the subsequent staff and student trainings around the procedures are not the purview of the board, but we fully support their implementation, and we also applaud the attention that our administrators are putting, number one, keeping our students and our staff safe.
Thank you all. Thank you, candidates. Our democracy could not exist without your public servants, such as yourselves. Thank you for your candidacy and your willingness to be here tonight. Brunswick voters, I hope this evening was helpful. Thank you for all being here, and thank you to the audience members who are watching this recording at home. We are now going to stop recording and take some time to mingle and chat with candidates one-on-one. Don't forget, Tuesday, November 4th is Election Day, and I look forward to seeing you all at our voting locations or the next time you stop by at the Curtis Memorial Library. Thank you. Thank you all.